What's up YouTube, Zandar here with my deck tech of my standard Eldrazi Aggro / tempo build I've been working with. Been getting a lot of requests for updates, so let's go straight into it today, as this is still legal with Oath the Gatewatch right before Shadows over Innistrad. Still running 2 Eldrazi Mimics. I don't know what I think about them. Whenever they work, but they typically don't work very much in this deck. People view them as a threat and get rid of them real quick. It gets rid of a Fiery Impulse or a Wild Slash or a couple other things for right now until rotation. So I don't mind keeping them in there, but typically we never make them into a 4/4 or a 5/5 later on in the game. My newest addition to the deck, which has won me a couple of games, is Vile Aggregate. It's an uncommon from Battle for Zendikar for 2 uncolored and a red. It's devoid and it's a star 5. Its power is equal to the number of colorless creatures you control, so its power is never going to be too big in this deck, and I'll explain why here in a minute. But he also has Trample and Ingest. Really, we're playing this for a Trample with a big butt. Really, I mean, that's a huge butt to deal with this early in the game. A lot of toughness. I mean, obviously they have a Roast. It kind of targets them for that. But if we have a Ghostfire Blade on the field, we can make the aggregate really big, really quick if they can't respond to it that exact turn. Eldrazi Obligator. Still a very, very solid card, 4 of in this deck. You play it more as control, unless you can swing for lethal with it that turn by dropping it down with haste with a couple of Ghostfire Blades instead. But typically we're going to be playing it to take a blocker for a game win. Mana Reshaper is a very solid card. It's the only card I don't have foils of it right now, so if you know anybody with foil Mana Reshapers, my gosh, I would love to get some of those. But always strong. It can hit almost any of our creatures. It can hit the Displacer, the Obligator, the Aggregate, or the Mimic. Only thing it doesn't get us is a Thought Knot or a Reality Smasher. It comes into our hand. It allows us to put Ghostfire Blades on the table. Any of our lands, which all of our lands are very solid in this deck. Reshaper is just a very, very solid card. Typically this is what wins us games, especially if they have any type of removal or board wipes. This is what's going to allow us to keep putting stuff on the field and stay a threat. Displacer is a 4 of again. Displacer is one of those cards I'm still going back and forth. When it works really good. Either way, when people see a Displacer, they really want to get rid of it, and it's not our biggest threat in the deck, but he does give us a couple extra win conditions. And then typically, if we're dropping him on turn 6, we have a win condition with him as far as displacing, or sorry, flickering a creature that's blocking, or one of our creatures potentially, if that helps as well. We do flicker a Thought Knot every once in a while, and I'll tell you when to do that. 4 Thought Knots, this is just basically for Thoughtseize, plus 4 mana, 4/4, just a good body, and we can flicker it. And what we want to do, if we are going to flicker the Thought Knot, basically we're going to attack with it on our turn, and then leave 3 mana open. After they draw the card on their turn, we can flicker, and that's another great time to get their hand filled up, and then take the biggest threat out of the hand. Reality Smasher, it's a 4 of, a 5 mana 5/5 with Trample and Haste. Biggest threat in the game. Honestly, people are talking about cards getting banned in Iron Vugan and everything in Modern, and possibly even Legacy and all this other stuff. But Reality Smasher, he could be the first to go to get banned, because I'm telling you, he's ridiculous. And they got to have 2 cards. They got to discard if they do remove them or something like that. 4 Ghostfire Blades. This is the only card we lose at rotation. It is a hit to the deck. I'm not going to be quiet about it or snide or whatever. We do need these. These are what get us a majority of our game wins, because we'll have 2 or 3 blades on the table at one time, drop an Obligator, attach 3 blades, and then swing in for 11 in one turn. The deck will be hurting without this, but I'm not going to say it's going to be an unplayable deck by any means. One of the newer additions to this is the 4 Slip Through Space. Good rule of thumb, if a card's good enough for Modern, it's definitely good enough for Standard, and that's definitely the case with Slip Through Space. See what I did there? That's funny. It's devoid, so we can get some colors from it from Corrupted Crossroads to cast it. Target creature can be blocked this turn and draw a card. Gives us card advantage, and that's the one thing our deck does. We do play our cards quite a bit, which is also why we run the Seagate Wreckages. Most importantly, you get 1 or 2 of these in hand, we're going to swing through the blockers and win the game. Spatial Contortion, once again, pretty much removal. We're going to use this to get rid of Jaces, Monastery, Mentors, Swift Spheres, Mantis Riders. All sorts of stuff. Spatial Contortion hits being with 3 toughness. But most importantly, it can give us a game-winning hit if it's on a trample creature. if we do the -3/+3 to it. And very, very easy to get a Vile Aggregate out or a Reality Smasher with a couple Ghostfire Blades, do 2 Spatial Contortions, and we're swinging in for like 14 on some 14 or 16 with a creature that's got Trample and in for a game win as well. That's it. The one thing we're really, really susceptible to is Infinite Obliteration. Depending how you play your first game, your opponent might not know that's the best sideboard card against us, but hands down, if you're wanting to beat this deck, a 4 of Infinite Obliteration really, really hurts us, along with a removal package. Let's go into the land base for this. Land base hasn't changed hardly at all. Still 4 Corrupted Crossroads. I finally got all those foiled out. It lets us get mana for any color, for any of the creatures that we have, and it lets us get mana for the Slip Through Space. And it's just an insanely good card. I can't believe it's still as cheap as it is. 2 Runes of Oran Reef. This allows us to, if we leave it untapped, we can put a +1/+1 counter on our target creature that enters the turn, a colorless one. I still don't know what I think about this card yet. I don't know, it might be one of the first lands we take out and just put in 2 more Seagate Wreckages. We're kind of playing aggro/tempo, so we really want to not be hitting the tap lands early. But I don't get upset, because if I do have a Runes of Oran Reef in my opening hand, I typically keep it, because we're not doing anything on turn 1 anyways unless we have a Ghostfire Blade. And our best turn 1s and turn 2s are pretty much Ghostfire Blades into Mimics, or Ghostfire Blades into Vile Aggregate. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. So we still really don't want to see the tap land in that case. And most likely they're going to have removal for anything we're doing. If something resolves to the battlefield, we're already going to have a Ghostfire Blade in play. So tapping this to put a 1/1 on it typically doesn't happen, because we're tapping it to put a 2/2 on it instead with the Ghostfire Blade. Hopefully all that makes sense. Seagate Wreckage is kind of a powerhouse card for us. We do get an empty hand quite a bit. All the games I won at my last FNM, whenever I went undefeated, was I got to draw off this multiple times each game. Really nice. We can do it at the end of our opponent's turn. If we have 3 extra mana, 2 of it uncolored and 1 colorless, which we'll easily have. Still running a play set of 4 Reefs, 4 Forges, 4 Caves, and 4 Coasts. Coasts is the card we need the least in this deck, because we're not running anything with green in it. But we definitely have to have the Battlefield Forges and the Shivan Reefs, because we definitely need the red for Vile Aggregate and Obligator. More importantly, it gives us 12 chances, 12 sources of red, which is half of our mana base. Same thing for white. We want to make sure we have white to play the Displacer. And that gives us 12 sources as well for that. And the Yavimaya Coast, the blue is helpful for the Slip Through Space. So it gives us a chance, 12 chances as well to get Slip Through Space out. So we got a really good mana curve. Everything's going on. This is the additions and changes I've made to it. Let's go into the sideboard. Now, as far as our sideboard for this deck, you got a lot of options. There's a couple things I feel are really critical. A lot of things are just kind of up to you and what the current metagame is at your local game shop. We're running 2 Radiant Flames. This allows us to do up to 3 damage with the tapped lands. Unfortunately, we take 3 damage ourselves to do that. Sadly, though, it's kind of hard to get out sometimes because it doesn't have Devoid, so we got to make sure we have a true red source and not a Corrupted Crossroads. Same thing, Corrupted Crossroads can't cast for any of the other colors for this spell. We do have 2 Kozilek's Returns. I don't know what I think about this yet. We're going to have to wait to see for Shadows over Innistrad if this is going to be good or not. If there's a big zombie theme or a big token theme. Right now, 2 damage just isn't enough to get a lot of things off the board. This is probably one of the first cards I'd take out if you're wanting to experiment with something else. 4 Hallowed Moonlights, which are absolutely critical for collected companies, rallies, anything like that. Plus it gives us card advantage with drawing a card. Same thing to remember though is Corrupted Crossroads can't tap for the white. Same thing, Corrupted Crossroads can't tap for the blue in our follow, this is our counter spell package. This is really critical for playing somebody heavy removal, heavy spells, planeswalkers, that kind of thing. We got 4 negates for counter target non-creature spell, and then 3 dispels for counter an instant spell. Obviously, you know when to bring these in. If they're a lot of non-creature spells, you bring in negate. If it's a lot of instants, you bring in dispel. Sometimes you bring in all of them. It just depends how spell heavy they are. The key thing is not to ruin the main theme of our deck. Cards we typically take out for sideboard are the Mimics, maybe sometimes the Displacer, depending what we saw what we could displace and do anything with that against. Really, you just have to play it by ear and learn your sideboard. And this might not be the right sideboard for you, but it works pretty well at my meta because everybody's playing Rally or Collected Company. So this is a great package to stop that from happening. So thanks for watching, guys. Click like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about this deck tech review. And this will be the last one for Standard Eldrazi unless I keep playing this past Shadows over Innistrad, which I don't know. We'll have to see how the decks go. If zombies, vampires, flying. You know, we're kind of weak to flying right now, so we'd definitely be putting in like 4, I think it's like Tears of Valakut or whatever, the 5 damage to flying for 2 mana. That's something that would go in if you had like Black Red Dragon's really popular at your gaming store, or even possibly for Shadows over Innistrad. But let me know what you think. Let me know if it's a deck you would like to play. I have a blast playing it. Typically I go 3-1. Sometimes I go undefeated. But man, the games are really fun to play. People don't know what to expect, and when they see that mana base coming out, they really have no idea what's coming next.